So guys, we have an update on the Flinders St rampage, as I like to call it, terrorism. Now, we're going to go through the story. Keep in mind, this is mainstream media. It's the Herald Sun, so mainstream, pretty much. So, obviously, it's going to be left-wing, but we'll go through, talk about it, and, yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below. So, the headline is, Flinders St rampage, accused rapid driver Saeed Noori charged. He's actually been charged with over 18 accounts, but we'll get to that. The man accused of the horrific Flinders St car rampage has faced Melbourne court charged with 18 counts of attempted murder. Detectives allege Saeed Noori, might be mispronouncing, 32, deliberately mowed down pedestrians with the intention of killing or causing injury to many people as possible during peak hour on Thursday. The alleged attack has sent shockwaves through the city, still reeling from the devastation of the Bourke Street massacre. 3 people remain fighting for life. In a motion charge seen at the Melbourne Magistrate Court this afternoon, Mr. Noori faced his mother, who burst into tears and rocked backwards and forwards as the accusations against her son were read out. The homicide squad charged Mr. Noori, or Saeed Noori, let's use his full name, today after he was released from hospital. He faces 18 separate counts of attempted murder and 1 count of conduct endangering life. Don't know what that is, but anyway. Mr. Noori's mother took photos on her phone of her son, the accused, as he was brought into the docks. Dressed in a grey suit and black pants, the scruffy-bearded Mr. Noori hung his head, put his face in his hands, and his mother burst into tears. She was assisted back to a seat by court staff after attempting to approach the dock to be close to her son, and was asked by the magistrate to turn off her phone. The mother shook and rocked backwards and forwards in her chair during the brief hearing for which she had waited all day at the court. The accused made no application for bail. Magistrate Bob Karma noted the bail would have been opposed anyway because of the serious nature of the accusations. The court heard that Mr. Noori was suffering mentally and physically. Of course he was, because there's no such thing as a terrorist. He was predominantly silent during the court appearance and appeared slow and sleepy, rubbing his eyes and staring down for much of the hearing. Wouldn't he have withdrawals? Like, this is supposedly a guy on drugs, right? It's only been a couple of days. How are those withdrawals going? But, it's an interesting point. Mr. Karma ordered that the accused be accessed by a psychiatrist and assisted by custody nurses before he reappears on the 27th of December. His court appearance comes following the revelations he allegedly rambled about Allah and the nation's top security agency after mowing down 18 people. So we still don't know what the motive was? And why isn't he being charged with terrorism? Acting Chief Commissioner Shane Patton has revealed that Noori made comments from his hospital bed in the hours after the alleged rampage, which left 3 people on Saturday afternoon fighting for life. I think there was something, and I don't know what the exact details, oh that's convenient, to do with Allah and some ramblings about ASIO, the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation, Mr. Patton said. Let me guess, it was something like Allah Akbar and he was going to kill everybody? I'm guessing, just theoretically, guessing, probably, right? But you can't remember. That's convenient. Saeed Noori was transported to Melbourne's West Police Station today, where he was formally interviewed by detectives. It had earlier been alleged that Noori mentioned the mistreatment of Muslims as a factor behind the horrific attack during the hospital discussions with police. And yes, and it broke on the alternative media. Twitter was full of people talking about it, which is why you're probably mentioning him now, saying about Allah. Because I reckon if it hadn't came out on Twitter, you sure as shit wouldn't have mentioned that. Noori, 32, was today charged after his arrest by an off-duty police officer at the scene where he rocketed down Flinders St and ploughed into pedestrians on Thursday. I actually heard there was around 15 people that actually pulled him out of the car. Why do they keep focusing on the off-duty police? What about the other 15 guys? They're the heroes that literally ran into a danger zone to arrest a guy, or citizen's arrest. Like, even if the cop was there, There was more than just one guy. I've actually seen the footage. There was a whole stack of people that ran over. Mr. Patton said the police found no evidence Noori planned this horrific action or that they were terror-related. What is terrorism? Driving your car into a bunch of people because you're sick of the way that they treat your race or your religion? Sounds like terror to me. But anyway, he said detectives had so far uncovered no notes or other signs of his online activity to suggest the alleged attack was premeditated. There's not a lot of premeditation involved. You jump in a car and you drive into a crowd. You don't really need to premeditate it, do you? What are you looking for? Some great plan on massive traffic flow or something? Like what? It's a fairly simple attack. It's not a lot of preparation needed, is there? Mr. Patton said he remained unclear why Noori allegedly plowed a Suzuki SUV into the innocent shoppers, workers and tourists at the Elizabeth Street intersection. You mentioned before, you said, if you scroll up, you actually said that he was upset with the way that ASIO and the people were treating the Muslims. Specialist counter-terrorism officers had indicated they did not believe the incident was related to terrorism. Okay. What do you call it? He said, but that could change as the investigators probe further. Meaning if alternative media breaks that it's terror-related and we got proof, then they will change it. Otherwise, it wasn't terrorism, people! Police would have no hesitation laying the appropriate charges, he said. No, I don't think the police do have a problem doing it. Politicians, on the other hand, they might. And NGOs, they would. But no, I don't think police have any problem doing it. Unfortunately, they get their orders from the politicians, who get their orders from the NGOs, mostly. We still haven't ruled out terrorism. We're continuing to explore it, Mr. Patton said. Really? Because you sound like you kind of ruled it out when you keep saying it wasn't terrorism. But anyway, it's about exploring the evidence, and the evidence will ultimately take us where it does. If it means a terrorist event, so be it. But okay, if he does come out and rule as terrorism, what happens to these charges? Because they're charging him with 18 counts, right? Which I get, fine, charge him up, good. Well, what happens if it comes out as terrorism later? Do they revise the charges? Doubt it. Search warrants on Friday were executed at Noori's home in Hellerby West, don't know where that is, and Oak Park property occupied by relatives. Computer equipment and other property were seized by investigators for analysis. And was those computers used to access ISIS material? Let's find out. The homicide squad is heading the investigation with help from our counter-terrorism officers and specialist accident investigators. Noori arrived in Australia from Afghanistan in 2004 and became a citizen of Australia 2 years later. Send him on a one-way plane ticket back to Afghanistan, or a helicopter ride, and cancel his citizenship. Why are we paying to house this guy? What's he going to do? He's going to go to jail for probably a few years, knowing these guys, go in there, become more radicalised because the jails are full of ISIS fighters and jihadis. He's going to become more radicalised, come out and do more terror attacks that the government and police will label as more mental conditions. Like, why are we spending all this money doing this? Pack his bags, send him home, back to Afghanistan, and cancel his citizenship. Mr. Patton said he had been voluntarily receiving treatment under a mental health plan and received an appointment reminder in the period before the Flinders St rampage. Yeah, that's extremely vague. What sort of mental issues does he have? Like, obviously at the end of the day, you're always going to be able to go back and fake appointments and stuff like that. We're not expecting you to be honest here. But you're not even giving us details. He said it was not known whether the issues of his methamphetamine was a factor in his actions. Toxicology would determine the level, if any, of drugs in his system, and if there's not drugs, I'm pretty sure they'll find some. Noori, a former tradesman, on Friday, assessed by forensic medical officer at the Crime Command headquarters in Spencer Street. He was later driven to the Melbourne Custody Centre where he remained overnight. The Suzuki SUV in which Noori was allegedly travelling was registered to a family member, Mr. Patton said. He said his precise movements in the period before the event at Flinders St were not yet known. The off-duty sergeant from Melbourne's East who tackled Noori on Friday underwent surgery on his hand. The officer leapt from a tram to intervene as Noori went on his alleged rampage. It's not alleged, dude. We've got video proving it. His hand was injured as he dragged Noori out of the SUV on Flinders Street. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, air quote, turncoat, moved to reassure Australians in the wake of the attack. Whatever the motivations, this was a despicable and cowardly attack. But I want to assure all Australians that it is an isolated incident, Mr. Turnbull said. Yeah, some incident that had actually happened the year before. We should continue to go on about our daily lives in the way we've always do. And that means spending time together with families, friends, in public spaces, on the streets of our city, and sporting stadiums in parks. Home Affairs Minister Peter Dutton described Thursday's events in the CBD as an isolated incident. It's the same words. They've literally got cards that tell them what to say now. We're not ruling out anything at the moment, he said. Really? Because it kind of sounds like you are. If you look at the circumstances where people have been mowed down by this person in a car, this is a very serious circumstance. I don't want to preempt anything, but we are certainly not ruling out terror links, and we certainly aren't drawing any conclusions at this stage. Yep, more bullshit from the government. Now guys, obviously at the end of the day, no one in mainstream media is willing to call this like it is, but as I've said this before, if you brand Charlottesville as a terrorist attack, so is this. It is the exact same thing. But anyway. Guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. What do you think should happen to this guy? Do you reckon he should be executed? Do you think he should be locked up for life? Do you think he should be sent back to Afghanistan with no return pass? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If this video has been helpful, please smack a like. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. And apart from that, guys, I'll see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great day and enjoy.